During the 5th week, the midgut is short and communicates with the yolk sac by the way of the vitelline duct. Subsequently, the midgut begins rapid development. The rapid development of the midgut is characterized by the rapid elongation of the gut. As the midgut elongates, it forms a ventral U-shaped midgut loop. At its apex, the loop is connected with the vitelline duct. The loop just above the connection with the vitelline duct is the cephalic limb. At the midgut, below the connection with the vitelline duct is caudal limb. At the caudal limb, there is a small swelling called cecal bud. This is the primordium of the cecum and appendix. The midgut is supplied by the superior mesenteric artery. After the 5th week, with further development, the midgut loop elongates rapidly. But during this period, the foregut has already developed. As mentioned above, the foregut begins to develop at the 4th week, including the development of the esophagus, stomach, liver, and pancreas. Moreover, the fetal kidneys also begin rapid growth and expansion. The abdominal cavity temporarily becomes too small to contain all the intestinal loops. The midgut loop has to project into the remains of the extra-embryonic coelom in the proximal part of the umbilical cord under the guidance of the vitelline duct. This phenomenon is called physiological umbilical hernia. It occurs at the beginning of the 6th week. The remains of the extra-embryonic coelom in the proximal part of the umbilical cord is also called umbilical coelom. While it's in the umbilical coelom, the midgut loop rotates 90 degrees anti-clockwise, just as shown in this animation. The axis is superior mesenteric artery. This brings the cranial limb of the midgut loop to the right and the caudal limb to the left. During the 10th week, herniated intestinal loop begins to return to abdominal cavity. As the herniated intestinal loop returns, it undergoes a further 100-degree counterclockwise rotation. This brings the cranial limb to the left and caudal limb to the right. Moreover, the caudal limb is above the cephalic limb. During the retraction of the herniated loops, the cephalic limb returns first, occupying the central part of the abdomen. The later returning caudal limb gradually settles more and more to the right. The cecal bud lies directly below the right lobe of the liver. From here, it descends into the right iliac fossa. As we all know, when suffering from appendicitis, we feel backache in the right iliac fossa. Normally, the midgut loop rotates 270 degrees counterclockwise. Cephalic limb gives rise to jejunum and ileum, and the caudal limb gives rise to cecum, appendix, proximal 2/3 of the transverse colon. After the retraction of the midgut loop, the umbilical coelom is obliterated. Well, this is the evolution of the midgut. Just as mentioned above, during the 10th week, the herniated midgut loop returns to abdominal cavity. If herniated midgut loop fails to return to abdominal cavity during the 10th week, as the midgut loop still lies in umbilical coelom and continues to develop, congenital umbilical hernia occurs. The protruding mass is usually healed and covered by transparent amniotic membrane. The prognosis for this kind of congenital umbilical hernia is not good. 25% of infants with congenital umbilical hernia die before birth, and 40 to 88% have associated anomalies, and approximately 15% show chromosomal abnormalities. There is another situation. Generally speaking, the umbilical coelom closes after the midgut loop returns to abdominal cavity. If the umbilical coelom fails to close after birth, the intestines will protrude into the umbilical coelom again when the abdominal pressure increases, such as during the crying, straining, or coughing. In this kind of congenital umbilical hernia, the protruding mass is usually small and also covered by transparent amniotic membrane. The prognosis for this kind of umbilical hernia is good. Well, this is the evolution of the midgut and clinical correlations. Now, show one case. Prenatal ultrasound at the 20th week revealed a midline mass that appeared to contain intestines and was membrane-bound. What diagnosis would you make? And what would be the prognosis for this infant? Please leave your comments in the discussion forum. Thanks for listening. See you next time.